guys, it's siu-yee. Welcome back to my channel. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel for more related content and to help me achieve my YouTube monetization goal for 2021. So I'm making this video specifically for all of you. I have had a few questions about my loan payoff template in the past, and it is something that I wanted to share with you, but I really wasn't sure how I was going to do it. If you haven't seen any of my budget videos, I use a loan payoff template that allows me to keep track of the debts that I've paid off, the debts that I'm currently paying off, and everything that I will try to accomplish in the future financially so that I can achieve financial freedom. In these budget videos and pretty much my entire channel, I align with Dave Ramsey's 7 baby steps. So I did end up creating a template for all of you to help you reach financial freedom according to the 7 baby steps. Now, the 7 baby steps is absolutely not my intellectual property. That's all Dave Ramsey, but what I've made is a spreadsheet to help keep track of where I am in the baby steps and, you know, just to keep a record of what I've done in the past and what I want to do in the future. So I just want to show you guys an overview of the template that I ended up putting together, how it works, how to use it, how you can customize it to your particular situation, because nothing is ever really one size fits all. Everyone has their unique nuances in their situation, so I wanted to make something that was pretty comprehensive for everyone to be able to utilize in some way or another, and you are always welcome to customize it to what fits your particular situation. Okay, let's go into this. The first thing that you'll probably see here is the giant subscribe link. Since I am making this for free, I would really appreciate it if you took the time to subscribe to my channel, or if you're already subscribed, like this video, because that will help me a lot in my goals, and I hope that this template will help you in your financial goals. Here I just give a little spiel of why I made this and how you can use it for your own situation. Basically what I'm saying in this video, let's start with baby step 1. Baby step 1 is save $1,000 for an emergency fund. And you may not be in baby step 1, you may be in baby step 2 or 3 or 4. If you're not in baby step 1, you can go ahead and get rid of these rows and move on to wherever you are in your situation. So this is just kind of the heading for that step, and then I have an account name. So your baby step 1 could be in your checking or your savings account. I would just make a note of that here so that you know exactly where that money is. And if it's in cash, you can just write cash down here and that'll work just fine. For now, I'm just setting the year to 2021 because we are in 2021. And I do have all of the baby steps starting in January, but of course, as the year goes on, or wherever you happen to be in a particular baby step, when you start it, you would just delete any previous months that you don't need and start wherever, you know, the actual beginning lies. The next row basically has to do with the initial balance, and I personally like to write the initial balance at the very start of the month, and I would just type the value in here. All of these subsequent months actually have a formula referring to the ending balance of the previous month, so if it is the same every single month, you won't have to actually type the value in. It'll just auto-populate once you know the ending balance of the previous month or as you go. So if in January my initial balance was 1, the ending balance will actually add up the initial balance plus the interest accrued if it's in a high yield savings account or a regular savings account that has a small percentage of APY, as well as any contributions or monthly payments that will be reflected in the ending balance. And as you can see, it auto-populated in the subsequent months. Now in the interest accrued cells, I do have a formula that depends on the initial balance to calculate the interest that accrues every month. Where the 0 is here is where you would actually put the decimal form of your interest rate or your APY. And then I just divide it by 12 to get an average per month. In the A column, I have added some mini instructions of how to populate these cells. And as you can see in the interest accrued instruction, I actually specify what this means. So if you have 0.5% APY, you will replace that 0 with 0.005 in this particular formula. So it would just be written like so. If that happens to be it, you write 1 here, drag it to the other cells. If it's only $1, you're not going to make that much. You'll see that there's interest populating every month. Now, your monthly payment. I know that every month is not going to be the same, and I personally have found that to be true, so I don't really have formulas for the monthly payment cells. I usually just base it off of my budget for that particular month, and if I want to predict the future months, I just make estimates. But if you think that you're going to be making the same payment every single month and you don't really feel like filling in that value every month, you can always create a formula that says this equals whatever this was, and then you can drag it over to the rest of the month. So let's say your monthly payment is $1,000, it will just drag over to the next month because that's what it equals. And you can also use these cells as a sinking fund template if you'd like. I personally didn't include any sinking funds in this template, but you can really just use what's already in here for a similar purpose. Okay, so once you have your starter emergency fund, you go on to baby step 2, which is pay off all debt, smallest to largest, except your house. It doesn't really depend on interest rate unless it's pretty much the same balance and one has a higher interest rate. The only real difference here is the ending balance formula. As you can see, I'm adding up the initial balance and the interest accrued minus your monthly payment because you want a debt balance to go down. Every time you make a payment, ideally that balance should go down unless the interest is ridiculous. That's just what's gonna happen. Again, the initial balance refers back to the previous month's ending balance here as well, and I didn't add any formulas for the monthly payments. And if you look at the interest rate instructions, you will look at how the interest rate for a typical credit card may look like if you are in credit card debt, and you'll see that you'll put 0.23 in the place of the 0 in the interest formula. Some people have one debt and others have multiple debts. Here I have included another account that I just assumed might take longer to pay off than the previous account. So here I actually included 2 years worth of payment tracking essentially. You can always copy this and paste it to rows below if you have more debts or if it takes you a lot longer than 2 years to pay a debt off. Hopefully not, but this is something that is highly customizable. The only other difference between this particular January initial balance and the other ones is that this initial balance refers to the December ending balance of the previous year. Let's say your starting balance in December is 100, you didn't make a payment, no interest was accrued, and your ending balance was 100, then January's initial balance would also be 100. So just keep in mind that a lot of these cells are connected, and if you're gonna be making any changes, just make sure that the formulas are consistent, or else you're probably gonna see something wacky in your calculations. Let's say you're debt-free, you're done, congrats. The next thing you need to do is fully fund your emergency fund, and that means saving up enough money to cover 3 to 6 months of your regular expenses. Now, of course, some of those expenses are going to be less than when you were in debt because at this point you shouldn't have any minimum payments besides your home, if you have a home. Ideally, this step will not take longer than a few months, but I did make this group of cells a year as well to provide a buffer because I don't know how long it'll take some people to fully fund their emergency fund. It could be less than 1 year, it could be more than 1 year, and if so, you can just add more rows, and then on the initial balance in January of the following month, you can say, you know, equals the ending balance of December. The other thing I just note here is that since you already have your $1,000 starter emergency fund, you can actually make the initial balance here $1,000, particularly if it's in the same account as your starter emergency fund. You're done with baby step 3, you have your emergency fund. Oh, I miswrote this. Let's fix this right now. Baby step 3B is save for a down payment on a house. This is just kind of an additional part of baby step 3 that Dave Ramsey talks about. I did leave quite a big note in here of what this step is in case people aren't familiar with what it really means to save up for a house. Again, this whole spreadsheet is based on the baby steps and everything that Dave Ramsey recommends that I know of at least. He particularly will not yell at you for going into mortgage debt as long as that mortgage is a 15-year mortgage and you have at least a 20% down payment before you buy a house. That does not include the other stipulation that the mortgage payment that you get after that down payment should be less than 25% of your take-home pay. Not your gross pay, your take-home pay. That's something that people don't really realize sometimes, but it's pretty important if you're going to try to follow his principles. What I found in terms of planning to buy my own house in the future is that the 20% down payment is the easy part. Trying to get that mortgage payment below 25% of my take-home pay in the future is what's going to be a lot harder. Essentially, it means that the 20% down payment has to be higher than 20% if you are probably looking for a more modern house. That's just my personal experience just messing around with these calculations. I'm not buying a house anytime soon. But the point of the 20% is to avoid paying private mortgage insurance or PMI, and the mortgage payment does include homeowners insurance and property taxes. So it's not like you can say my mortgage payment is only, you know, my principal and interest for the month. And here we have the account name. Again, I made this 1 year. It could take you longer depending on where you live, on the real estate market, what kind of house you're buying, how big of a house you're buying. It essentially looks the same as the baby step 3 template. There's nothing really special. Again, if you're putting this in a savings account, make sure to add the interest accrued. If not, you can just ignore that or delete it and adjust the formula of the ending balance to ignore that interest. So you have your down payment saved up. If you decided to do that, now you're gonna go on to baby step 4, which is contribute 15% of your income towards retirement. Ideally, you're gonna do this in a Roth 401k or a Roth IRA so that you don't get taxed on the growth of that money. Obviously, if you're relatively young and you're not planning to retire anytime soon, you're probably gonna add a lot of rows here. You can continue adding to this, just copying the cells below. You know, I'm not about to include 40 years worth of retirement data. If you want to do that, you can. If not, you can ignore this, but hopefully you will still be contributing 15% of your income towards that, and you'll just keep track of that elsewhere. Instead of interest, I just wrote rate of return. If you want to predict how much you're gonna earn in a month, you can always replace the 0 with the rate of return if you have an idea of what that is. Okay, so you have your house, you're contributing to retirement, but next, baby step 5, which is college fund for the kids. If you don't have kids, you can ignore this. If you have kids, I would hope you don't ignore it. This looks like a savings account template again. You can adjust this and, you know, write in your account name if it's like a 529. I personally don't know too much about that now, but maybe I will in the future. This is just a way to keep track of how much you're contributing towards that. Next thing is baby step 6, pay off the house. So once you have your house and you have your 15-year mortgage, you may want to pay it off early, or you may just want to write out the mortgage. If I were in this position in the future, I have a feeling that I'll probably try to pay it off as fast as possible because I just know myself. Here I have a little tracker, no more than 2 years long, because maybe it'll inspire you to try to finish it within 2 years. But again, you can always add to it if you feel like you need a few more years to pay it off, or if you just don't want to worry about it. But what I really like about this template is that you can see how much interest is accrued on your mortgage every month, the property taxes, which change every year, especially as your house value gets reassessed. Notice how I didn't include any PMI. This is just regular homeowners insurance. I would really hope that none of you ever have to put that in here unless you already have a house with a PMI payment. If so, you can just add a row in here and put that in. I just think it's really helpful to see how much interest is accrued on a house, because a house is a high value item and the interest accrued on it can be a large portion of your monthly payment, unfortunately, as well as your property taxes. So I find that seeing everything on one page and seeing how it gets affected if you make any extra payments is really helpful and a huge motivational tool to help you pay things off earlier. Here, the ending balance is a sum of your initial balance, your interest accrued, your property taxes, your homeowner's insurance, minus your monthly payment. Your monthly payment is really covering for a lot of things, so that's part of the reason why it's so hard to pay off a house, because you have all of these other fees kind of playing into it, and ideally you'll have a big enough down payment when you do buy a house that paying off the rest of your house once you're in it is not going to be too difficult. Okay, you know what, I forgot something, but I just added it. So once you're done paying off your house, you can move on to baby step 7, where you can build wealth and give, aka be super generous or outrageously generous, as Dave Ramsey puts it. And you can continue keeping track of all of your financial accounts by adding more rows, but I just left it at the end here, and I'll let you guys figure out what you want to do with the spreadsheet once you get to that point. But yeah, those are the 7 baby steps in template form. So again, if you're gonna use this template, consider subscribing to my channel or liking some of my videos. It will be in the description box below if you want to access it and then copy it to your personal Google spreadsheets or Excel or Numbers. Whatever spreadsheet app you use, feel free to copy it over there and customize it to your own situation. If you do end up using it, please let me know if it's been helpful or if you have any critiques, because this is just something that I put together and there may very well be flaws, so let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching this and supporting my channel. Please leave a comment below letting me know if you like this template or if you'd like me to change anything.